Welcome in, Sweet Tea in the SEC. I'm your host. You can find me on Twitter at CFB Talk 07. And I'm joined by none other than my co host that's with me every Tuesday night, my guy Adam, who you can find on Twitter is at CFB Guy. You can also follow his podcast, The Weekly Walk On, which is an amazing show. You can get it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, now Apple Podcast, and I think Adam said also Amazon Music or Amazon.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Adam?
Hey, how's it going, man? Great week of college football, dude. It was a good one.
Yes, sir. It was. It was. Sorry, had a tweet come in. Yeah, man. It was a good one. It was a good one. So many things to talk about from the weekend, and not enough time. So, I mean, let's go on ahead and just jump right into it. I was sitting here prepping for the show, and all the stuff I wrote down, I was like, I don't even know if we have enough time to discuss all this. So, let's jump right to it, man. Hugh Freeze fired. Feels like this is now a weekly thing for us to discuss. I think we won't have any more after this, but who knows? Um,
I think there's going to be a couple, but I mean,
yeah.
I,
Well,
I
yeah.
think the couple that are out there, I think we'll wait till the end of the year. I think nationally, and I think there's one, maybe two more in the SEC as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Potentially, one in a place you're very familiar with. But came over from TikTok. Awesome. Thank you, CC. We appreciate it, brother. We appreciate it. Um, yeah, man. Hugh Freeze fired. I think we kind of all seen that coming. But I did not think it was going to be during the Kentucky game. I thought they were going to get that win and kind of extend his life a little bit. But no, they lost 10-3. And so, Adam, before we start talking about the candidates and also a CBS story that I wanted to highlight that came out, what was your thoughts?
I say it every time. I hate it for the players and the coaches' families, but it was one of those. It wasn't if, it was when, and we were just waiting for it. And you're going against a Kentucky team that hadn't won a game since their very first game of a conference game since the very first game of the 24 season against Ole Miss. So at that point, Kentucky's been struggling for a season and a half, and I think there wasn't really a better time to pull the trigger. If there weren't so many jobs open right now, I could see them waiting a little bit longer and keeping on to him or holding on to him a little bit longer, but they're already behind a little bit on so many other SEC jobs, not nationwide. I mean, they are there too, but just let alone in the SEC, they're already behind a handful of other schools that have already started their job searches. So I think that they felt they were probably looking for a reason to do it, and the loss to Kentucky is pretty much that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought back when this hire was made, and coaching hires when they're made is such a crapshoot, trying to guess who would work and who wouldn't. I've guessed plenty wrong. This one, I think I got right because I didn't like the hire from the get go. I thought Hugh Freeze got a lot of love for really just the two wins versus Bama. Nick Saban back when he was in Ole Miss. And yeah, I think the story that also came out, CBS Sports did a story. Can't remember the author's name. I hate that because I like to credit the work. But if you go to cbssports.com, you can find the story on the front page. That's where I found it, on Hugh Freeze. And I only highlighted a couple of things, but apparently he had a golf obsession. And which is, I want to highlight this. It's fine if you're winning. When you're losing and you're in a small town like Auburn, you're in a small place like Athens, some of these college towns in the SEC they're not big towns. Everybody knows everybody. But apparently he had an obsession playing golf. He during the season, before a home game, Auburn booster told CBSSports.com, Freeze just came out to the golf course without his clubs to watch guys play. Another booster was quoted saying, the only problem we didn't foresee is that he wanted to play golf way more than he wanted to coach. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Somebody posted, I think somebody posted the day he was fired. Before he was fired, he had a tea time. And yeah, he apparently had a golfing obsession. Also, I think another part of his problems, and we discussed it so much, it was the picking the wrong quarterback. He went Peyton Thorne, he went Jackson Arnold, two kind of head scratching picks. Jackson Arnold probably a more head scratcher than Peyton Thorne, because Peyton Thorne did have that good season at Michigan State. But what I found interesting in the article, and the last thing I'll highlight of the article, it's a very long article, really good, really well done. If you want to read it, go to cbssports.com.
John Totley.
John
John
Totley,
Totley.
thank you, because we like to give credit to the writers. He does phenomenal work. Like I said, please, if you're interested, go read the story, because I'm only highlighting like 3 things out of like a 15-minute read. But apparently on the quarterback deal, his staff pushed him hard to go after Cam Ward. Apparently Hugh Freeze was not interested in one bit. He wanted to keep Peyton Thorne. He wanted to surround Peyton Thorne with better talent, which, look what Cam Ward did. And also he told staffers, last thing I'll highlight, he told staffers he did not have to deal with NIL much at Liberty and didn't know how it worked. And then he pretty much surrounded himself by a lot of Liberty assistants. So he admitted to somebody apparently that he didn't know how NIL worked because he didn't have to deal with that at Liberty. So the best idea is, let's bring my Liberty staff with me.
Even if you don't, you bring your whole Liberty staff. That's fine.
Yeah.
But now the majority of these college teams have a GM that is separate from the director of ops that handles all the travel and the financial scholarships and all that. Make sure academics does that. Make sure academics gets all their classes for like this. Director of ops handles practice times, all the logistics for travel and everything.
Yeah.
Then they have a GM that handles roster management and specifically the NIL stuff and what players are getting paid, making sure that they're staying within the budget of what the university has given them for, or not university, you can't say that, what the boosters have paid to the team to go towards NIL. And like that to me, and that's the first I've heard that, but that is inexcusable because you can hire staff that solely handles NIL for you. And I know there's two sides to every story, so
yeah,
we'll see. And maybe he did hire that staff, and he just made poor hires, or maybe they just gave the money to the wrong people. I don't know, but to say I don't know how it works, and again, I haven't read the article, but that's a crazy thing to say. And if it's just left like, I haven't looked into Auburn's staff at all to see. I'm sure they had a GM, but maybe that GM didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounded like it was a mess. It sounded like it was when I read the article, I read it last night while I was laying in bed, and there were so many times in the article my eyes just kind of got big, and I was like, holy crap. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. But yeah, like you said, also, when these articles come out, the reporters that cover these stories are really good reporters. I do, I try to take it for what it is. But anyway, either way, it's a great story. Y'all go check it out. But yeah, so let's talk about candidates real quick before we recap games. Adam, I think it's clear. I mean, you've talked about this in text. We've talked about this in DMs on Twitter. I don't know that we've talked about it on the show yet, but we're about to. I think it's clear who should be top target number one. I think it's John Summerall. That's who I think it should be. Now Auburn, you got to factor in the wild Auburn factor, the boosters and all that. Because I'm going to get to some names here in a minute that I've heard and that I haven't heard. I've heard on podcasts and reporting and read some stories and all that. That I'm seeing mentioned that people are laughing at, but I've heard that Auburn boosters are pushing it. We'll see. I'll get to that in a minute, but I think it's obvious it should be John Summerall. The connections he has in that state, being from the state of Alabama, his wife going to Auburn, that's who it should be. Will Auburn do that? I don't know. They should. It should be done. And heck, he would be my first and only phone call.
I think that's a good fit, and maybe he doesn't want that job. I don't. Maybe Auburn's ego is too big. They think they can go get a much better candidate. But at this point, I don't think you're going to lure away a Power 5 big or a Power 4 big name. And I had on my podcast last week, it was one of my buddies that's a Georgia season ticket holder, and we were talking Georgia-Florida rivalry and his perspective on it. And the Auburn job came up because we were talking about Kentucky a little bit, and he said at some point you have to realize it doesn't seem like a person problem or a personnel problem. It seems like an Auburn problem because there's been multiple players that have left Auburn and just been okay and gone other places and been successful. And I think you could say that for a few coaches as well, not as much on the head coaching side, but some assistants have come out of there and done well once they left. But Bo Nix is an example. And there's other people that once they leave Auburn, they are successful. And I haven't looked into it enough to really see who it is and who those people are. Maybe it's just 5-6 big names and the rest of them, you kind of fizzle out and you're only seeing the big names. I don't know, but at some point, I feel like Auburn is one of those teams that just can't get over the hump, and they should be at more than what they are. They had the Cam Newton year. They had 2013 when they lost to Florida State in the national championship game. But outside of that, it's kind of been far and few between in our lifetimes. Bo Jackson, I was too little to remember that. I know that they had a couple good years with him, but they had an undefeated season when they were on probation, and they're always something goofy going on in Auburn. I feel like
always them boosters, man.
And I hate it for Auburn because I feel like that could be a really cool place if they really get things rolling. And then you think about Alabama right now. I feel like they might be continuing to the Saban train now that they've switched coaches. And if we can get the Iron Bowl, continual top 5, top 3, something like that, and make it to what the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry has been the last 5 to 7 years, that would be really cool.
Yeah, and I would say this to add to that is, like, despite how bad Auburn has struggled this year, the fan support is absolutely amazing. I would put an Auburn night game. I wouldn't put it above Death Valley at night, but it is up there with LSU as far as one of the more electric atmospheres at nights. And so they have the fan support. Yeah.
The fan support's great. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that fan support is great. I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, they have the fan support. Seems like there's more alignment than they've ever had. I don't know how much more, but from everything that's out there, it seems like the alignment is better than it's ever been. I mean, the only thing that worries me is obviously the booster factor. It's well known at Auburn that they can kind of take control of things. And what gives me pause is a name that I've seen on multiple hot boards. And you got to take those hot boards with a grain of salt. But when I keep seeing one name keep popping up, and then I listen to so many, I consume so many podcasts, so I can be a better knowledgeable fan. And I've every podcast I've listened to, every report that I've read, this name is something to be taken seriously because of the boosters. He's getting some push behind the scenes, and that is Jimbo Fisher. And I don't know. I wasn't doing a show back in my Jimbo Fisher. I'm not a fan of that hire if it's being made. I think he's well past his time. I don't know how you feel, Adam, if that happened.
I thought he proved he was a great coordinator.
Yeah.
He did some good things at Florida State, but that dropped off real quick, and that mediocrity kind of followed him to A&M. There's something with Jimbo to me that feels like almost like what you said about Freeze, like how he supposedly didn't know how the NIL works. the new recruiting type stuff, like Jimbo doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to conform to how you have to communicate and talk. I don't know, because he got decent recruiting classes. Maybe it's once they're on campus, that he can't conform to how you have to coach players now as opposed to how you could 10, 15 years ago. Because I still remember hearing stories from the local morning show, which we don't get anymore in New Orleans, but it was T-Bob and
Yes.
Hester would host it, and they would have the quarterback played for the Packers and Seahawks once he left LSU. I can't think of his name. Kind of looked like Matt Damon a little bit, but they would have him on once a week, and they would start telling Jimbo stories and how he was one of the biggest screamers, and maybe he's still like that, but that type of coaching for the most part is not something that's sustainable anymore, because players can transfer too easy.
Yeah.
They don't want to put up with it. And the AAU type culture is starting to get into college football, where you get mad at a coach, you can leave and go do anything else, or you don't agree with a coach, you can go anywhere you want at the drop of a hat. And being screamed at a lot is probably one of those things that makes a lot of players want to leave.
Yeah, and I think that's why you see a lot of the younger generation or coaches start to be a lot more successful. Another thing on young people before we go recap games, I mean, I live it. I'm almost 40. I grew up in the era of, if your dad said go jump, you jump. You didn't ask no questions, right? Like, you did what you were told. This era, not that it's wrong, is more so you go tell them to jump. They want to know why they got to jump. They want to know the why. They want to know, why do I have to do this? I have a teenage daughter. I have a teenage niece, and it's not just as simple anymore. They're smarter. They're, when we were kids, it was just like, hey, we were too scared to ask why. It was like, no, I mean, Dad tell me to jump, I'm just gonna jump. It just is what it is. I mean, no, these kids nowadays, they want to know the why. They want to know how it's going to benefit them. What is it for? Why am I doing this? This seems, they're going to ask questions. You got to explain it. And as a dad to a teenage daughter and a father figure to a niece that's a teenager, I live that now, and I have to remind myself that I can't. It's not the old ways anymore. But all right, let's move on to the recapping of the games. We're going to kind of rapid fire it, and then we'll get to our sweet tea MVP. My doors. Did you watch the Thursday show? I'm surprised you didn't, because you know how I know you ain't gave me flack yet.
I didn't watch it. No,
I know you didn't. Yeah, that's how I know, because
I recorded my podcast Thursday night and then had to edit it Thursday night and then Friday morning.
So I ain't mad at you. I just know you didn't, because you didn't. I was waiting on the text. I was like, if he listened to it, he's going to text me and kill me. Because last Tuesday, I picked Vandy to win, right? Thursday, I changed my pick on that show, and I picked Texas.
Well, nobody said you can't change your mind. You made you changed your mind to a great decision.
It don't count on Tuesday. Well, we count the loss on Tuesday, what Tuesday is. I try to keep the picks the same, but it did change my mind. Texas 34, Vandy 31. Don't let the score fool you. Texas was dominating this game. I don't know what the hell happened in that fourth quarter, but a lot of wild stuff happened. Vandy came back, almost got the onside kick, blah, blah, blah. Adam, I said it's on our Sunday show. I mean, I asked if you listened to Thursday. It was actually Sunday. Our Sunday show, Thursday. Sunday show, I said that for the first time all year, man, it looked like Texas kind of figured things out offensively. Sark was doing a lot of more. It almost looked like the Quinn offense. It was a lot more back to side, short passes, and then hitting the deep shots. Arch continues to kind of look improving. He's starting to play a little bit to his preseason hype. And it's not just a Vandy game. I think he's been doing that the last couple of weeks since Kentucky. Yeah, man, I want to see more. But yeah, and on the Vandy side of things, I mean, when you can't run the ball, we talk about it all the time. If you can't run the ball for Vandy, it's a good way to stop them. And they couldn't run it.
I think these two teams are very comparable in production that they get from their running backs.
Yeah.
And Texas ran the ball for 100 yards. That's not anything special. But out of those 100 yards, Arch Manning only had 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is good
he
considering he was leading rusher.
multiple times this year when their offenses look terrible, he's been their leading rusher.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the opposite side, you had Diego Pavia, who rushed the ball for 43 yards, and he outrushed the whole rest of his team. And that's not unusual for him to lead the team in rushing, but he got absolutely no help around him in the running game either. And I really think both of these teams, when another running back, when they get the running game going with another person besides the quarterback, Vanderbilt put up 31 points, but like you said, it was a little misleading. It was kind of some hurry up offense in the fourth quarter because they had to. And, I think it's going to come down to, because Texas has a couple tough games left. Will they be able to run the ball with somebody other than Arch Manning?
Yep. Yeah, they've got it tough. But good win for Texas. We'll get to the Vandy Doors in some preview. UGA 24, Florida 20. Just to be a homer for just a second. I love I'll take a Florida win anytime I can get it. But taking off my homer hat now. I mean, yeah, it was typical Georgia. Kind of got into a little hole and lost the lead, or didn't have the lead at halftime. Had to come back. Yeah, I mean, it's just on the Georgia side of things, typical Georgia. Kind of what you've seen all year. I think the story of the game was money downs, third downs. Georgia was 7 for 15 on third down. They also had 8 yards per play on third down. Florida was 2 for 11. Yeah, I mean, it's just a typical Georgia game. I don't even know what else to say at this point other than typical Georgia game. So I thought somebody said it on a podcast I listened to earlier. They said it's so great, better than I've ever said it about this Georgia team. If you got to cut the head off the snake. It's that simple. You can't just, take a stab at it and wound it. You got to cut the head off. And if you don't cut the head off, it's going to get you. And that's kind of Georgia. I mean, you got to kill them when you got a chance. And if you don't, they're going to get you. Now, how sustainable that is, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think they're going to get got probably one more time this season and then get got in the playoffs. Because I just don't think you can play that way the whole season and then win a national championship. But you do like to see the fight and the toughness and the ability to play all 4 quarters. On the Florida side, man, I see it all the time. I do think this Florida team's really talented. I made this case Sunday, Adam. I wanted to get your opinion because I asked Austin because I'm a Georgia fan. So, maybe I'm being a homer. I personally think this Florida team's really, really talented. And I think if you take Lane Kiffin, or if you pick whatever coach you have in the top 10 in your head, whether it be Dan Lannon, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, whoever it is, and you take them, you put them on Florida's team at the start of the year as the head coach. Do you think Florida's a playoff team?
I don't know. I'm not sold on Lagway, to be honest.
He has regressed.
I didn't fully understand all the hype around him last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I do going into the season this year. I was expecting, but if you look at the SEC quarterbacks across the board that we were expecting big things from, none of them have really produced this year.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia might be the known name that has produced the best. You said Arch Manning started to come around, Sellers at South Carolina. I don't know if Lagway is a quarterback that's going to lead the team like that. And I don't know how much talent I think there's talent there. I don't know how much help he's getting from his teammates on the offense side of the ball either. The defense is good. The defense is good enough to win and get you to the playoffs. But something's not right with that offense. Maybe you bring in somebody like Lane Kiffin, who's known for opening the treasure chest full of tricks, and maybe they play better. I don't know, but
And Lane does. I will say that Lane, he does a pretty good job with quarterbacks. You know,
yeah, he does.
when this year I think we all agreed on Twitter. I mean, I don't think you'd find a person other than an Ole Miss fan that would say otherwise. That we thought this was going to be a step back due to the change at quarterback. And but Lane, it seems like Lane's offense is like it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is because he just creates shots. But I just want to throw that in there. But what was your general takeaways from this game before we move on?
I didn't really get to see it because Google/YouTube and Disney/ESPN/ABC are disputing, and I didn't get signed up for a free trial with another service provider early enough to watch this game. So
Yeah, I kind of put you in a bad spot there. I knew that, and I just like my bad. God, I'm always doing.
You know, I was. It started out. I was watching, score watching everything, watched highlights. It started out how I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
I did expect Georgia to pull away a little bit easier in the second half, and it to be, a 10 to 14 point game. And Georgia had that potential pick six late in the game that maybe it would have been and they also took a knee, so maybe it would have been. But I think if those happen, the game would have been felt a lot closer to what the score indicated, though. So I think the score came out about how the game felt the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Oklahoma 33, Tennessee 27. Oh man, this first half it felt like I think me and Austin was texting our other co-host on the show. We were texting at like right before halftime, and we're like, "Holy crap!" Oklahoma's winning this game, but it feels like Tennessee is just dominating the game, and in the first half, it felt that way. I mean, Tennessee was moving the ball. It's just, man, they had a lot of bad turnovers. Joey Aguilar turned into the old Joey from UCLA, App State, just kept turning the ball over. Oklahoma, shockingly, their pass game absolutely sucked. And their run game actually did all right. 199 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 6 yards per carry. If you would have told me before the game that Mateer would have 5.5 yards per pass attempt, and I would have told you Tennessee won.
I expected Tennessee to win. I thought they would have a good enough offense, but I guess I underestimated their defense. I thought their defense would get enough stops for Oklahoma to win. Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, for Tennessee to win.
Yeah, I did too. And
The 3 turnovers doesn't really help that case either.
No, it doesn't. That was really the story of the game to me.
There was 5 turnovers total between the two teams. That was surprising. I mean, you don't see many games where, one, they end up scoring 60 combined points, and 2, at the time of the game, the teams are both top 20 teams, and there's 5 turnovers between them.
Yeah, and one, I think all 3 turnovers Tennessee gave up, they scored or got points off of it somehow. Something I know, one turnover, the guy, it was a snap. It was, I think Joey was hit and it fumbled, and guy took it all the way to the house. I think it was a big man touchdown. But yeah, that's kind of the story of the game, man. And seems like Tennessee's now obviously eliminated from the playoffs, and Oklahoma gets to move on. We'll see if they continue it in the coming weeks against Bama.
I've seen some rumblings on Twitter about Tennessee fans not being happy with Heupel, and I'm just thinking, like, he's a good coach. He's got basically the same record that Sark has at Texas. The difference is Sark's gone to the playoffs twice and semifinals twice. Tennessee's only gone once in the expanded playoff. But, any Tennessee fan that's upset with what Heupel's done when he took over a program that had scholarship limitations under why is my mind going blank? What's his name?
Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, Pruitt. And Under they had I think they were like 3-7 or something in 2020. I don't know that off the top of my head, but it wasn't good. And he's doing what he's doing with that team. And I just think about what happened when Philip Fulmer got chased out of town. He wasn't quite as good. He dropped off slightly, and they chased Philip Fulmer out, and they haven't been good up until Heupel got there.
Yeah, I think it's
4 years ago.
I listen to I have a sick twisted thing I like to do on Sunday mornings as I'm getting ready for church, or late Saturday nights when I can't go to sleep because the adrenaline of college football all day. I have a sick thing where I'll go to teams that have lost. A lot of these teams have fan ran post game shows. You got YouTube. There's so many shows you can go watch of different teams or whatever, and I'll go to the teams that lose, and especially if they have a post game call-in show. It's glorious. It's fun. It's a sick thing I have that I'm addicted to. And I ain't gonna lie, I just enjoy it. And one of the first ones I pulled up was like, okay, because I know how Tennessee fans are. They're wild. I got to pull up a Tennessee post game show, and they're acting on Twitter like they never said it. But I listened, and I'm not lying to you. I listened to a 3-hour post-game call-in show. That night, they wanted him fired. They may have changed their mind Sunday morning when they woke up, after they sobered up. But I'm telling you, Saturday night, a lot of them were like thinking like calling him James Franklin, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, this is wild, but whatever. Anyway, they're now all trying to.
And as I always say, college football fans are some of the most reasonable fans and people when it comes to their team that you'll ever find. I think back to Ryan Day, everybody wanted him fired late November last year and him getting death threats. And he goes and he's the worst coach ever because he can't beat Michigan. And then he wins a national championship and he's the best coach ever.
Yeah. Somebody in the TikTok chat, playoff rankings come out yet? Don't know. If you want to talk playoff rankings, you're gonna have to find somewhere else. I don't know how Adam feels, if he feels as strongly as I do about playoff rankings.
I don't care until the final rankings.
Thank you. I don't want to derail the show, but thank you. We were talking to somebody on there. I told somebody on TikTok it's probably to the detriment to our show that we don't do it, because one of our highest viewed shows was a live reaction playoff ranking, but it was the last one. Still to this day, we have not matched those numbers. We had 500 people watching. We still to this day cannot duplicate that. But I'm sorry, I'm not interested in trafficking in playoff rankings. I'm interested in talking ball. So with that said,
it really doesn't mean. I actually put a poll up on Twitter today that said, what is the least relevant national ranking? Is it the AP poll, the coaches poll, or the college football playoff poll prior to December 7th when the final one comes out? And then in my actual poll, I put, or this Twitter poll. And that one's actually has the least amount of votes so that must mean it's the most relevant in their eyes. I don't know. which doesn't say much for those three polls anymore. I think the national polls lost a lot of credibility earlier this year, and then everybody knows that this CFP poll doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I forgot to turn my Twitter notifications, so I'm gonna get updates now because one of the writers I follow on Twitter is updating it 25 through 1, so that's great. Anyway, all right, Adam, before we go to Sweet Tea MVP and preview some of these games, I know you did watch Kentucky Auburn, and I'll be honest, I only watched the last couple of minutes of it. So
I did.
Give us your big Kentucky win recap.
There's really not a whole lot to say, except I'm excited. I'm pumped. They got a win. And other than that, it was pretty ugly. There's not much else to say. Both teams have decent defenses, so I can say that. But the offensive play was just abysmal for both sides. I'm stoked Kentucky got the win. I would rather win ugly than lose pretty. So they got the win. I don't think we need to go too much into breaking that game down at all.
All right. Well, let's get to our Sweet Tea MVP.
Also, Athletes Forum podcast. What's going on, man? Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for joining.
Oh, is he on there? Oh, man.
Yeah, he just jumped on.
My notifications ain't popping. Usually I get a notification when people comment so I can put it on there. What's up, brother? Man, he's always on here. I appreciate him so much. All right, Adam, what is your sweet tea MVP?
I also want to point out that I am drinking sweet tea this week. I had somebody call me out a couple weeks ago that said the show's sweet tea SEC, and neither of you drinking sweet tea. I usually drink water, but this time I switched to sweet tea just so I could say that. I bought some at Walmart last week just for that.
Yep, and I want to say real quick, I've just recently got diagnosed pre-diabetic, and so I am drinking, unfortunately, zero sugar Dr. Pepper. So my wife is currently on a sweet tea strike. Maybe if I can get my number, we'll get some sweet tea. But anyway,
so I have 2 sweet tea MVPs, and like I said, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't anything to get excited about other than the victory for Kentucky. But they got their first SEC win since September 28th of 2024. It's been over a year, and they beat Ole Miss last year on the last second field goal at the gun. In the very first SEC game last year, I thought they were going to have a decent season, beat a good Ole Miss team, and down the drain it went because they didn't win another game the rest of the season. And my other sweet tea MVP is Mississippi State. They also got their first SEC win in almost 2 years. Actually, it might have been 2 years exactly, because from what I did, the quick look up I did, that was their first win since November 1st of 2023 in the SEC. First conference win since November 1st of 2023. I want to fact check that real quick while you give me your sweet tea MVP.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do 2 also, because you didn't get the other one that I had written down just in case you picked the one I was originally going to go. So my first one, Tate Sandell, I hope I said that right, field goal kicker for Oklahoma, showing the kicker some love. He hit all 4 of his field goals, 3 of them from 50 plus yards. Yeah, he absolutely killed it for Oklahoma. Also, I'm going to go Kewan Lacey, Ole Miss, 24 carries, 167, 7 missed tackles. Been a huge addition for Ole Miss this year. So those are my sweet tea MVPs.
All right, so it was October. I don't know why I wrote down November 1st, maybe because that's the date that they won. The 2023 game was October 23rd or October 21st of 2023. It was against Arkansas, ironically enough.
All right, let's go and preview some games. Texas A&M, Missouri. Actually, that's not where I wanted to start it, but never mind. We're going to go there. Texas A&M, Missouri. I think I like Texas A&M here. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna go right off the rip. I like Texas A&M coming off a bye week. I think the line of scrimmage matchup here, I don't like it for Missouri. I know Bua or Bua. I think it's Bua. What is it, Bo?
Yeah.
You say it either, can you, Bo? I can't ever get his name right. Bo, before he got injured, I know he's not playing in this game. I know it's going to be the backup, but he faced a lot of pressure this year. 17 sacks, 4 times versus Kansas, 3 times versus UMass. Only 3 passers have faced more pressures than Missouri's quarterback. So I don't like that, and they're fixing to go against a pass rush that is really, really good in Texas A&M. I'm curious to see if Hardy can get this Aggies rush defense though. The Aggies rush defense has been gettable this year. Nobody's been able to penalize them for it. UTSA had 203 yards. Arkansas had almost 300 yards. But it hasn't really mattered because Aggies offense has been just stellar. I think they're averaging like 40 points per game. I'm curious to see if Missouri's run game can get Texas A&M. I don't think it will, because Missouri's offense versus SEC teams, Adam, is averaging 21.5 points per game. So it hasn't really been good against SEC competition. I don't know, man. I think the line was at like 7.5. I think Aggie's going to cover.
I like Texas A&M as well. When you look at what Missouri has done, They're 6-2, and the only win that they have over a Power 4 team with a winning record is a win over a 5-4 Kansas team.
Mm-hmm.
So their wins are not that impressive. They've played two quality teams in Alabama and Vanderbilt. They lost them both. I don't see this game really being that close, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, and I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be close at all. I know it's not. I don't think it's a noon kickoff, is it?
It is. It's a 2:30 Central Time at Missouri in Columbia.
All right. Yeah, I just don't like the spot for him. All right, UGA versus Mississippi State, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Somebody asked me. I did a live Q&A on TikTok an hour before the show. Somebody asked me, "Is this a look ahead spot for UGA?" And I made the case it better not be, because listen, Arizona State. You can look at the record, but they beat Arizona State. They lost by 7 to Tennessee in overtime, lost by 2 to Florida, and lost by 7 to Texas in overtime. This team is literally like a few games. I went and looked at it. They're like a few games if the thing just goes their way in a very tight game going to overtime from being only a one-loss team. Aggies kind of beat their butts. But all the other games have been extremely close as far as like big teams, Texas, Tennessee, and I know Florida's not that good, but only losing to 2 by them. So listen, there are a couple of flips of the game, and we're talking about an 8-1 Mississippi State team. Now that didn't happen. The results are the results. It is what it is. But my point of that was, you better not sleep on this at 11 a.m. in Starkville with the Cowbells. Don't sleep. Don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on this game. Now I'm gonna pick Georgia. Saying all that because I do think Mississippi State's pass rush is not really good. They're like the 15th lowest in pass rush grade. UGA's offensive line has improved a lot as the season's going on. I think they've been able to keep Stockton pretty well protected. And I think the passing game for Georgia is going to get Mississippi State. I also think that while they have a lot of problems on defense, their run defense is pretty solid. I think they're going to be able to bottle up State's run game, force them to kind of pass the ball all over the place. And I just don't think – I think at the end of the game, it's just not going to be enough. But I could see another – once again, Georgia's down. We're talking about a potential upset. Georgia comes back, pulls away in the fourth quarter, and covers the 7.5 or 6.5, whatever it was.
I think that's exactly what it's going to be. I think the 11 a.m. kickoff in Starkville and Georgia's slow starts for however long it's been. I think dating back, you said, against Power 4 teams, dating back to the end of 23, was it? However long it was. I know you put the stat up there. I've had a couple other friends point it out to me that are Georgia fans. I think we're going to see another slow start, and I think Georgia's going to methodically win a close game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be low scoring. And now that I say all this, chances are I'm going to be completely wrong, because I feel like every time I say that type of thing, that's what happens.
This will be the week that Georgia blows somebody out.
I'm not seeing it, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't, and I'm not trying to say Georgia's a bad team.
I don't see it either, by the way.
I haven't seen the just domination from them and the stomp on the throat, cut the snake's head off type thing when a team's down, outside of when they play Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I as taking off my hat and putting my Georgia hat on, I hope it's a blowout, but it's going to be very. I don't expect it. I don't expect it. Somebody also in the TikTok chat said, "Do you worry do you worry about this game with Georgia State? And I said, brother, we are in week 11. And after every game I've watched of Georgia this year, I'm worried about everybody they play. Everybody.
Everybody.
I'm worried about everybody. How about athletes forum podcast? Real dogs win. Give me State. I thought about making this my upset pick on Sunday or on Thursday's show. I'm not going to, but it was in the cards for our upset pick of the week. But I didn't want to make it because I got to watch this game Saturday, and I don't want to be conflicted if my team lose and go, hey, I did make this my upset pick. So, man, I'm gonna have a shocker here. I think Vandy versus Auburn. Listen, I know Auburn's offense is really bad. I think we all can agree on that. I think we all can acknowledge that it's statistically one of the worst in the country. But this defensive unit to me is really elite. I think if you look at any metric out there, they are a top tier defense. Aggies, they held them to 16 points, UGA 20 points, Missouri 23, and then obviously Kentucky 10. Talking about the metrics, in particular, the run defense, they're first in EPA per rush, second in defense rushing success rate, 12th in early downs EPA, first in yards before contact, and second in yards per carry. You're facing a Vandy team that we've talked about before, likes to run the ball. That's what their offense is. It's run, 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 run. And Diego hits you with a couple of shots here and there, but it's mainly a run-oriented offense that kind of dresses up in like a option attack out of the shotgun. I don't know, man. I'm no, screw it. I'm going Auburn, man. I'm going Auburn.
I don't think that's as big of an upset as you think. Now I'm curious what the line is. I'm really torn on this one. I've never fully been sold.
Vandy.
It is at Vandy. I've never been fully sold on Vandy.
You haven't. I did make you join the dark side, but maybe I need to join your dark side.
I did pick them to win last week because I didn't trust Texas at all. I've never fully been. I thought the schedule was finally going to catch up with Vandy, and Auburn's played a tougher schedule than Vandy up to this point with the stretch that they just played prior to Kentucky. And, I'm really torn on that one. Vandy's actually a 6.5-point favorite.
I'm shocked by that just because of how good Auburn's run defense is. But then again, Auburn's offense so bad it may not even matter.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I think this is going to be a very close game, very very ugly game again. I think Vanderbilt's going to pull away late though.
Yeah, I could see like a 16-10. I could see it being very similar to the Missouri game.
20-10, something in that range.
Yeah, and another thing that's curious to me is like Vandy's offense the last two games have not been very good, and it's just so happens their last two games were against two really good run defenses in Missouri and Texas. And now Auburn's not good in the secondary. They're like 100th in passing success rate in the defensive side. So they are gettable through the air, but can Diego, is that what he is? Can he get them through the air? Can they have a game plan where they open it up with just Diego being a quarterback and throwing the ball over the yard? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's look at Vandy's schedule too a little bit. They are leaps and bounds above what they traditionally are. Clark Lee is doing an amazing job there. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But a lot of these wins, you have a win over South Carolina, who was ranked at the time, but not very good. They're now 3-6. You have a win, and then they play Alabama. They lost to Alabama. They have a win over LSU, who's got a lot of talent, but they're not a very good team. They have very talented individuals but they're not a complete team for whatever reason. They're 5-3, and they beat them. Missouri, who I just talked about, I think their record's a little inflated because they haven't played a whole lot, and they beat them. They played Texas, who's played a little bit of a tougher schedule. They lost to them. This Vandy schedule, I've been saying it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher, and now that I'm looking at it, some of those games I thought were going to be tough didn't end up being as tough as I expected. So, and that's part of the reason why I'm not on the Vandy hype train as much. And they're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Clark Lee, can't say enough good things about what he's done there. But I think their schedule is they're propped up a little bit by a schedule that didn't turn out to be as tough as people originally thought.
Yeah,
But I do like Vandy to win this game.
Oh, you going Vandy?
I am going to go Vandy. It's something around 2010, something like that.
I'm acting shocked. They're 6.5-point favorites. I don't know why I did that. I don't know. I just like Auburn. I don't know. I have a suspicious feeling this game's
and you have the wild card too with Auburn with an interim coach. There's always there's two ways the team goes. I don't feel like they ever come out and play the same under an interim coach. They either have that extra interim coach juice, or they're just flat because their coach is gone and they give up on the season, and just there's a speed bump along the way for every team they play that year.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they have that extra juice or not.
Yeah, definitely. LSU versus Bama, big spread. Last I checked, it was 10.5. I think it's still that. I think it opened at 11.5 actually, and it's been betted down 10.5. I think LSU can keep this closer than people think. The SEC this year, man, it's really the margins of victory have been the lowest it's ever been. I would not be shocked if LSU keeps this close. Because I think their defense hasn't played well these last couple of weeks. It's kind of been exposed a little bit to not be as good as we thought it was. But I do think with the bye week, that LSU's defense, Blake Baker, and also you got Frank Wilson as the interim coach. This is another one where the interim coach type thing, I think, could work in LSU's favor because of Frank Wilson, who is a diehard. He is, when you cut him open, he bleeds LSU. Like, he bleeds LSU. And I think you also, obviously, you don't have Joe Sloan calling plays now. But I do think Blake Baker on the defensive side, I think he's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. I think he's going to bring the house every chance he can against Ty Simpson. I'll be real curious to see how Ty handles the pressure. But I'm picking Bama to win. I do think LSU covers, though. But I think Bama's just going to have too much on them. But this is another one kind of similar to the Auburn-Vandy game, man. I really think that some chaos could happen. I'm not picking it, but I do think it'll be closer than we think.
I like some chaos early. I like LSU to come out and juiced up night game, but I think Ty Simpson and Alabama is going to be too much, and I don't think the second half is going to be that close.
Yeah.
You think LSU covers 10.5? I don't see it being that close. I think the first half could be very exciting with some unexpected things. LSU, like you said, LSU pulling some stuff out that hasn't been seen on film yet. But LSU's got tons of talent. There's no chemistry. They're not a good team because of the chemistry or something. And maybe Coach Kelly was the problem. Maybe Brian Kelly was the problem because everybody was so pissed off at him they didn't want to play. But I'm not seeing this one close in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that playing out too, though. Like, going into the halftime, and us all texting in our group chats and all that, with the eyeball emojis, and then by third quarter we're talking, oh, this is a wrap, it's over. Could see that playing out too. Yeah, I'll be curious also if Bama can run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball against worse defenses, so I think that could play a factor to the defensive game plan I'm talking about, if that's what Blake Baker does. Which he's done nothing but bring the house most this year, so I wouldn't expect anything less. But yeah, I think Bama's going to get it, but I do think LSU will cover. Adam thinks Bama's going to win, and Bama will cover.
I think the stadium clears out early.
Let's go. It is in is it in Death Valley?
Tuscaloosa.
I thought so because it was in Death Valley last year.
Yeah, I think the Bama fans start leaving early because it's not much of a game.
Yeah, going to get the party started.
Yeah.
All right. What a great show. We hit it at under an hour. Cool to have almost 40 people here, despite playoff rankings going on. I'm going to finish watching this MAC game. Some of us on Twitter say we're college football fans, but y'all watching playoff rankings. I'm watching a MAC game. We are not. We are not the same.
I will
No.
be putting the MAC game on as well.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Miami and Ohio. Well, Miami of Ohio and Ohio, 3-3 right now. Going to halftime. But yeah, man, what a great show. I enjoy doing this every week, especially with Adam. Y'all tune in to Adam's podcast, The Weekly Walk On. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all those. Go check it out. I'm going to check it out even more now than I did before, now that it's on Apple. I enjoy listening to them. Very informative. Not like our shows. It's really unique, and that it gives you a little bit behind the scenes stuff of the inner workings of college football. So we enjoy it. If y'all could go hit that subscribe and follow button on YouTube and at CFB_SZN. And I think Adam's got a couple of things to say at the end.
Yeah, like Chris said, it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff from my time of working in college athletics for 15 years and then playing football in the SEC. And it's a lot of my former colleagues, there's been a couple teammates on, some current players of places I work or have worked. So it's a different thing. It's no real X's and O's on it, but a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And then if you want to follow anything with me for that podcast, it's CFB Guy on Twitter, CFB Guy 1 on Instagram. And then for this show, it is Sweet T_SEC. Again, it's Sweet T's all one word, no space, and then _SEC. We put little clips on there. I try to make everything on there SEC based. I'm still trying to work on content for that, but it's fun. I love the interaction on there. I appreciate everybody that's jumped on to watch live. That's really cool that we had that many tonight. So thank you very much, and keep drinking that sweet tea and watching the SEC.
See y'all.